Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of Schmurz Day, November 3rd, 2025. On the show today, in news, we begin No Negative November. In listener questions, one day at EPCOT as an off-site guest or one night with the After Hours event. Then in our main segment, Jim finishes up the story of Disney Springs Raglan Road. Let's get started by bringing in the man whose legend lives on from the Chippewa on down, like the Great Lake they call Gitchigumi. It's Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
It's going well, Len. And Gitchigumi, for those of you who don't know, folks, that's actually Lake Superior, which is the largest freshwater lake in the world if you go by surface area, whereas if you go with actual volume, it's third. By the way, Len, interesting thing, it was...
What did you go by personality?
Well... Actually, 25th. You know, well, just think of what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald. Okay?
It's hard to beat Titicaca, right?
There we go. There we go. But that said, the interesting thing, it was Gitchigumi right up till 1760 or thereabouts, and then, interestingly enough, the Better Business Bureau of what would eventually became Michigan, renamed the lake, and sadly they found out the first name, Lake Pretty Okay, just wasn't pulling crowds, Len.
Like better than most.
There we go. All right. It's Superior. Are you happy now? No, come, be a tourist.
Exactly. So the line for our younger listeners, the legend lives on from the Chippewa on down, is from the Gordon Lightfoot song, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald," which is a song about a nautical tragedy. And the Disney link there is that song, depressing as it is part of the background music in the Canada Pavilion. We're all gonna die. We're all mortal. Enjoy your time here in the park.
By the way, I have a friend who insists that if you're holding a party and guests are just not leaving, that is the music you put on.
Exactly. That, Freebird, Stairway. I mean, you're good there. A bunch of songs from the 70s. That's fantastic. All right, Jim, let's do a quick shout out to our subscribers. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to the show over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, including Sal Monardo, Thomas Rogers, William Owengirin, Aaron LeBlanc, Aaron Rifkin, and Alex Jacobs. Jim, this is Disney's launch control team that ensures thousands of successful rocket liftoffs every day at Space Mountain. And they want me to say that the screams you hear as you're climbing the launch hill are from passengers starting re-entry, which is handled by a completely different group of engineers. So everything's great as far as they're concerned. True story.
Oh, well.
Look, I've got one job.
There we go. Once the rocket comes up, who cares where it comes down? That's like, that's not my department, says Werner von Braun.
Exactly. On to the news. All right, folks, the Disney Dish News is sponsored by UnlockMagic.com from our friends at DVCRentalStore.com. If you're planning a theme park trip, then now is the perfect time to visit UnlockMagic.com because they've got regular Disney theme park tickets and special event tickets with 10% off for things like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and Jollywood Nights. So visit UnlockMagic.com right now to save big on your admission. All right, on to the news. As a reminder, this is No Negative November, where we say only nice things about the Walt Disney Company for the entire month.
All right. Hang on, Len. I need to turn on my shock collar. No, okay. Keep going.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Jim. Is it on? Is it on? Test it out real quick. Here, hold on. Let me push the button. Okay.
It's good.
It works.
All right.
Should I keep pressing it?
No, please.
All right.
No, okay.
All right, before we do the news, some upcoming events, which I guess are newsworthy. I am doing a Disney chat with the Washington Post this coming Thursday, November 6th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. So look for an announcement there on where to send in your questions. We'll post something to the social medias. Also, I'm doing a talk at Columbia University for the data science department. It's their seminar on Friday, November 7th. Not open to the public, but I'll see if we can record it.
Oh, cool. Cool.
I know, it should be fun. And also, Christina Harrison wants to remind everyone that Touring Plan's annual Gingerbread Challenge is a virtual event this year. Jim, you've done the Gingerbread Challenge with us before, right?
Yeah, I'm still getting the icing out of my hair. But yeah, no, it's fun.
So I put the details in the show notes, but the idea is that you bring a gingerbread house kit and you try and assemble it in 20 minutes or less. And you can bring outside theming devices, including everything from candy to action figures to lighting and motorized components to make it as good as possible. Also, you can cheat, but in Chrissy's mind, it's cheating as long as it's tasteful. The end of every gingerbread challenge is the same. We're all covered in frosting and glue, and then we give presents to small children. I am sure it's going to be the same this year. Details in the show notes. All right.
Cool.
Anyway, the news. All right, Jim, Disney's announced that the replacement for Tomorrowland's Cool Ship will be called Astro Fizz and be hosted by Coca-Cola with a new menu, including frozen slushies, a cherry cola churro, which is a churro rolled in cherry sugar, drizzled with Coca-Cola cherry icing, and topped with cherry-flavored popping candies.
Wow.
Okay. And popcorn is also available. Yeah.
Okay. So
I love the name. I love the name Astro Fizz. That's fantastic.
I have to say, do you remember when Encounters, the bar in the LA theme building, when the Imagineers did that? In fact, I want to say that was an Eddie Sato project. You went in and it was like you stepped into a James Bond meets Space Age thing up there. And honestly, if there wasn't an Astro Fizz served at Encounters back then, that's a missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah, no, I love the name. It fits in well. I mean, so Fizz describes what it is. The Astro fits in with like, on Disneyland, it's Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters.
Yep.
Right. So we use the Astro theme and makes sense. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's good. Plus the building looks great. So I'm excited for this. Hopefully it'll be open, when you and I are down there in November.
We can only hope. And by the way, folks, look for Cool Ship to eventually show up on eBay, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that thing was made of so much plastic that it's virtually impossible to destruct. It's got to be like the House of the Future where they ended up taking chain breakers.
Yes.
And I'm not lying. I mean, if you could buy that entire structure, it would make one heck of a tiki bar.
Oh, no, totally.
Amazing. All right. The other bit of news out of Walt Disney World is based on Magic Kingdom parade schedules. It looks like Disney is going to be taping the Christmas parade this coming weekend, November 8th and 9th. So watch out for Main Street USA crowds on Friday and Saturday if you're going to the parks on those days. So that should be fun too. I mean, you get to see everyone ready for the Christmas stuff. Jim, I was in a grocery store yesterday. So recording this on Thursday, October 20th, and they were already playing Christmas music. And Laura looked at me with revulsion that is normally limited to like, would you like to eat cat food today? Yeah. Well, no one's ready for that.
Well, that's the thing. Nancy was in Kohl's just yesterday picking up clothes she'll be wearing on her Hallmark cruise next week, and that was the thing. Literally at that moment, Kohl's was clearing out every bit of Halloween, remaindering it and just turbo loading in the Christmas stuff. So it's here, folks, whether you like it or not.
I mean, weather's nice and cool, so yeah. All right, Jim, over at Disneyland, we didn't talk about this last week, but I want to spend some time on it this week. Listener Jeff Mizuka noted that it looks like Disneyland is testing a new drone show. And he notes that this happened above an almost 900-acre production facility that Disney owns in Santa Clarita. I put a link to a YouTube video of the drone show test, and I put some images in the show notes. It looks like the drones are able to shape like the genie from Aladdin, the castle from Aladdin, and many other shapes. Many colors, very, very detailed. Jim, there's got to be many hundreds of drones in this thing. Okay, now this is the part of today's show, Len, where I break your heart. So again, just hands off the buzzer. All right. It turns out, and this comes by way of Mr. Schul, who, by the way, lives just over the hill from Golden Oaks, where they were doing this testing. But in Santa Clarita, the wonderful-looking drone show ain't coming to Anaheim.
It's actually supposedly, it was being tested there for Disney Adventure World in Paris, the soon-to-be renamed Walt Disney Studios Park. In Paris. And now, right. Not to say that, sometime further on down the line, because face it, we did see the show out over Lake Buena Vista, that you could watch from the west side. And certainly we have large bodies of water, like, for example, Paradise Lagoon over at DCA. But I don't want to be negative, but I just want to say that be ready for that to debut over there, where they already do wonderful drone shows over the castle in Disneyland Paris. Not necessarily stateside for a while.
Well, the important thing, Jim, is that Disney is concerned about the health and safety of all of its domestic guests. And then over in France, they recognize that guests have a certain joie de vivre, if you will, and that they're willing to accept certain things. So it's really Disney just catering to the local markets, which I think everyone can agree is absolutely fine.
And by the way, again, just to share one more story from Mr. Schul, it's like, it said, that it's lovely to test this thing, in Newhall, California, where the drones are sheltered between two mountains, where there's no cross breeze, where the temperature doesn't drop below 40, during certain times of year, which is when your drones could ice up and fall out of the sky. But on the other hand, Len, think about the wonderful take-home. Oh, what a take-home surprise! The drone that hit me in the head that I can now take home as a
free technology for everyone.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Kids can learn so much
that they can
about computer science and aerodynamics if they have one of these drones. It's fantastic.
They can.
Plus the U.S. legal system. I mean, it's just a cornucopia of learning opportunities.
Absolutely.
It was funny. I was at I was in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago for the Steelers-Bengals Thursday night game, and they announced before the game began that there was going to be a drone show at halftime. And I'm with my friend Brad, who listens to the show, and I turned to Brad, I'm like, there is no way on God's green earth that the National Football League is going to put drones inside a stadium full of people. Like, the lawyers are just not going to do it. How is this going to work? And it's true. So they had the drones outside the stadium, over the river, which again, Jim, to your point about wind, was a thing. So the interesting thing about that was the way that they had positioned the drone show. Only half of the stadium could see the actual drones. Everyone else had to watch on the TV. So I mean, this is where sight lines and legal liability combine to make challenges for people who are doing these shows. Yeah,
absolutely.
Still great. It looked fantastic.
Okay.
So kudos to the NFL for doing it.
Cool.
Yeah, so fantastic. All right, Jim, one bit of news that we need to mention over at Universal Parks too. Our friends at InsideUniversal.net have a great summary of Universal Orlando's new ticket options for 2026. And one of the things I wanted to mention here, Jim, is that if you buy a Universal Orlando multi-day ticket, you can now use that to visit Epic Universe more than once. So before, like currently, you buy a multi-day ticket, you get one visit to Epic Universe. Now, let's say you buy a 3-day, a 4-day, or a 5-day, you can visit Epic Universe all 3, 4, or 5 days, which is different than it is now.
Wow. Okay. I think I know what media I'm going for when we're down there later this month.
Right. Now, if you get a 1-day ticket or a 2-day ticket, you only get one separate day of admission to Epic Universe. So it's the 3, 4, and 5 days specifically. So they have a new park, and with the new park, the working out the ticket options as they're trying to ramp up everything is a challenge. Yeah. So you kind of get this. Still no word though on annual pass holder access to Epic, and I think we're not going to see that at least until maybe Memorial Day.
Oh, and remember, the other wild card in this situation is Volcano Bay. This coming year is going down for a lengthy rehab, and it's like, face it, those people who normally went to that water park have to go somewhere. So you're probably not wrong about
that's a great point. So yeah, that's a great point. Maybe they're saving the Epic Universe stuff for when Volcano Bay goes down, so that pass holders have an alternative, and that is a fair trade.
No, I
mean, Volcano Bay or Epic Universe for Volcano Bay. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, Jim, on to surveys. Our friend Kevin Culler sends in a Disney survey, and we may have seen this question before, but Kevin's email, Jim, got me thinking about why Disney's asking it. And the question is this. Approximately how much did you spend on the following items during your Walt Disney World Resort trip. So things like food and bev, merch, transportation around the resort, lightning lane, multi-pass, single pass, premier pass, and then other expenses. And so my question here is, when I was talking to Kevin about this, I'm like, does Disney already have all or substantially all of the data that answers this question?
Oh.
And the answer to that question kind of tells you what Disney's looking for with the answer. So if Kevin had his hotel stay and his lightning lane use linked through MDA, Disney would already know how much he paid for the hotel and how much he paid for lightning lanes. But if someone else made the arrangements and that wasn't linked to Kevin through MDA, through like friends and family stuff, then they don't have the information, right?
No, absolutely.
Also, this is kind of interesting. Remember when Magic Bands first came out, they were touted as a payment device. You could tap your Magic Band and pay for things.
Yeah.
But people aren't using Magic Bands to pay for things as much now. So Disney doesn't have the same ability to track purchases the way it did when Magic Bands were the option, right? They could use name matching on the credit card transactions, but that's not exact, right? I mean, you're using routines like Soundex or something to match names, but that's not 100%. But even then, name matching on the credit card transactions might be more exact than asking people what they spent. Because so here's my question, right? If you're in the survey business and you've used this kind of question before, are you looking for exact answers? Or are you looking for like just general vibes?
Oh,
right.
Okay. So ballpark as opposed to specifics, or
right. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the answer to this question, how much money did you spend on your vacation, is being correlated with other answers that you're giving throughout the survey, so that they can try and figure out spending levels to satisfaction. And this is no negative November, so I'm going with the reason for that is Disney can be sure that you're happy no matter how much money you're spending, right? Yeah, but I think that's it. So the question could be, do people who spend more money are they more satisfied at the end of the trip or not? And I think that's what Disney's trying to gauge there.
No, and you're not wrong. I mean, I was just talking with somebody at the company about, they were looking back at the glory days of Magic Bands where, just the turkey leg revenue alone was, a cause for celebration every Friday. But
oh yeah,
but that's the thing that they had once convinced themselves that Magic Bands would be something that they could march around the world, and sadly, it was Orlando, and the real irony was never actually developed for Walt Disney World. This was something that was created for the cruise line,
right? Yeah. It's really interesting because when they started the idea, in the early 2010ish, right? The iPhone was introduced 2007, so we were on the upswing of smartphone adoption. But I think at the time, how long it takes to plan something like Magic Band infrastructure for global theme park resorts, right? By the time they had it rolled out, smartphones were already a viable option. So I think that's why we didn't see it continue. Right? No. It just makes sense from an investment perspective.
All true.
All right. And speaking of money, Stephanie sent in a Disney Cruise Line survey with these two questions. How do you feel about the state of the U.S. economy? And the ranges go from extremely positive to extremely negative. And then the same question, how do you feel about your financial situation? Extremely positive to extremely negative.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So there are a couple of ways I think, Disney can use these questions. One, I think, Jim, is for upcoming marketing campaigns. So, if a lot of people are saying that they're unsure about the state of the economy or their personal financial situation, Disney could promote discounts or value resorts, right? If they see, lower positive responses. And that's fair because we say, like, I really believe like a Disney value resort is your best choice for budget accommodations, even better than staying off-site because the incremental cost of a Disney value resort is generally more than offset by the benefits, right?
Oh, no, I agree.
The other way that they can use this data is to tie today's answers to future behavior. So keep in mind that most people who are in Walt Disney World today booked that trip weeks or months ago. So the fact that you're in Walt Disney World today is a lagging indicator about how you felt back then when you booked about your personal financial situation in the state of the U.S. economy.
Oh.
Right? So they could use this going forward to say like, and Disney doesn't even have to ask that question. They could look at, consumer sentiment surveys that other companies do and project out from that. And we actually do something similar, like in touring plans, when we're trying to predict crowds, we're tracking things like the U.S. unemployment rate and gas prices and inflation over the past 3, 6, and 12 months to see how they relate to today's crowd. So this is something I think that a lot of people have kind of latched onto, and it's one way that you can use it, again, as a lagging indicator.
Wow. And as a secondary thing here as well, I mean, for example, just on last week's show, when you were talking about the Themed Entertainment Association's attendance figures for 2004 and how, for example, we interpreted what was happening at the Universal Orlando parks as well. Epic Universe is, not going to open till May of 2025. So there was a dip there. Yeah. Something like this, where the notion of, people are making decisions based on what's in their bank account today or how they feel about the U.S. economy, about their Disney World trip, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months from now. Oof. Oh, wow. Especially at a time when, let's be honest, we're a couple of years out from Piston Peak or Villains Land. That gets interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they can start tailoring those marketing messages based on what the economy looks like at the end of next year, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great use of the question if they're doing it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, on to listener questions, Jim. We've got a couple. One is from a listener whose family is listening too, so we're not going to mention their name, and you'll understand why when we get to the question. We're headed to Florida in early 2026, and we're only doing the Universal parks in this trip. My young child is obsessed with all things Potter, Minions, and How to Train Your Dragon, so Universal seemed like a no-brainer. However, now I can't stop thinking about just doing one Disney day. Originally, I considered a character breakfast at a resort and then a day at Disney Springs, but now I'm wondering if we should purchase a one-day ticket to EPCOT, or as I've just seen on the website, an EPCOT after-hours ticket. If we've got only one day, what's the best use of our money? I don't have any experience with the after-hours events in terms of crowd levels and so on, and I'm not sure what a single day would cost, but I imagine it'd be more. All right, so Jim, the pros and cons of after-hours versus a full day. So the wait times at after hours are generally very, very low. Like basically everything is a walk on, or, you get through the pre-shows and it's a walk on. If you've got, 5 or 6 must-see attractions, I think that's going to be the least expensive and fastest way to see them. The one issue that I point out with after hours is this. After hours events are 3 hours long. And in EPCOT specifically, the distance between attractions limits what you can see in 3 hours, right? So Jim, remember the walk from Future World to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and back is probably 20 or 30 minutes,
Easy.
No matter how fast you're walking, right?
Yeah.
And so to quantify that, that's like 11 to 16% of your entire time at the event. And the walking and the pre-shows at Guardians of the Galaxy are likely 15 to 20 minutes by themselves. So that's a substantial chunk of those 3 hours in just those two things, right? So if you are going to do EPCOT after hours, save Remy for last, so you don't have to spend event time walking back to the front of the park. And ideally, you get to Remy like 10 minutes before the event ends, right?
No, that's a good plan. Okay.
Yeah. Now, an EPCOT one-day ticket costs slightly less than the after-hours events. I would actually spend the money on the Lightning Lane single pass for Guardians just to simplify my morning. So, roughly, then it becomes slightly more expensive than the after-hours events. But here's the thing. If they're not staying at a Disney resort, then there are going to be thousands of people in line ahead of them at EPCOT who are using early theme park entry, and they're not. So, Guardians, buying the Lightning Lane for Guardians gets you out of having to wait in that super long line. You'll still have long lines at Test Track and Remy. I think that something be like an hour each for both of them. And there's really no way around that if you're staying offsite and not using multi-pass. But the advantage to a one-day ticket is, even though you're going to wait in longer lines, you will have more time to see secondary attractions and eat meals and take breaks. So I was originally going to go with the one-day tickets, but I think the after-hours event might be a better fit depending on how many things you want to see and do.
Okay. Just the one qualifier there is, you are going to be hard charging when you're in, EPCOT for this after hours event. So probably not a day you should be also doing a Universal park, because
right. Oh, good point. Yeah.
You'll be running out fumes.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Yeah, so save that for your day when you're doing nothing else. You can rest up during the day. Oh, good point.
Okay.
Fair. All right. We have an email from Rick who says, "Hi, Jim and Len. We're going to Jollywood this year, and my kids are super excited about the character meet and greets. I know the lines can get quite long. Are there any touring plan suggestions for minimizing time in character lines?" All right. So the only way to see characters without long lines is to prioritize them above everything else. There's really no other way. And Jim, this is the first year we've ever had Muppets Courtyard and Animation Courtyard closed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've got more characters, but in less space in 2025 and likely 2026, which will contribute to crowds because crowds can't be spread out when those areas of the parks are closed. The other thing is that I would probably prioritize character greetings that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, well,
right.
And in fact, I'm just looking at the list right here. Bing bong! Bing bong!
Bing bong! Exactly.
Oh my God! Okay.
So, for example, you can meet Mickey and Minnie at Red Carpet Dreams pretty much any time. But seeing Chewbacca celebrating Life Day, I think that's a holiday. Yeah.
His red bathrobe. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I think I would do that. I would prioritize the characters that are only seasonal or holiday events there. So to Jim's point, Bing Bong, Chewbacca, things like that. I would do that. And I know I would try and do those first thing as soon as you can. And, save, Edna Mode, Mike Wazowski. Those characters are generally available at Pixar Plaza other times of the year. So do that. Yeah. Do that some other day. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jim finishes up the history of Disney Springs Raglan Road. We'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Dr. Sanjay Gupta with some exciting news to share. CNN is now streaming. That means you can read, watch, and stream everything in one subscription. You can watch news live 24/7. You can also explore catch-up videos and explainer videos, and you can also watch a library of CNN's originals, including my latest documentary, It Doesn't Have to Hurt. Just go to cnn.com/all-access.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with his plight?
Aha!
Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
And we're back. All right, Jim, it's been a couple of weeks since we've last talked about Raglan Road. We had our Halloween special and we had some guests on. Where did we leave off on this?
Well, again, we are looking at Downtown Disney in the early 2000s and the west side, that 66-acre addition to Disney retail dining. It's opening in phases. Speaking of which, quick correction to something I said previously on this show, which was that La Nuba, that Cirque production that opened in a custom-built theater at Walt Disney World. I said that this was the first non-traveling version of a Cirque show. Well, Steve S., loyal fan of this podcast, reached out and said, small detail, but La Nuba was Cirque du Soleil's second resident show that set up permanently in his own theater. The first, Mystere, that opened in Las Vegas in 1993, and it is actually running to this day. And and Steve's not wrong. That opened at the Treasure Island Hotel and Casino back in December of 93, some 5 years before La Nuba at Walt Disney World. Still going strong, Len, after 32 years, where La Nuba, that opened, actually that shut down December of 2017 after a 19-year run, whereas Drawn to Life, well, remember, Len, that was supposed to open March of 2020 and then premiere the month after that, and then the pandemic happened, so we didn't actually get that show up and running till November of 2001. But speaking of Las Vegas, look, I don't need to tell you this, Len, but Disney pays attention to everyone doing everything everywhere, which is why when 9 Fine Irishmen, which was this concept for a pub, the MGM and the Irish Pub Company opened at the New York Hotel and Casino in January of 2004, the mouse takes notice. Oh, and also let's remember that Judson Green, the chairman of Disney Attractions, he left the company in April of 2000, and he had previously been the piano-playing patron, if you will, of the Pleasure Island Jazz Company, which opened August of '93. So it's just sort of like, it's an interesting confluence of events.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the 9 Fine Irishmen bar at New York, and Vegas, because I've been in that bar.
Have you?
And that is the most haunted mansion vibe that I have seen outside of a Disney. No, it's got the busts that follow you, like in the library scene in the Haunted Mansion. They replicate that effect with busts of, I guess, Irish authors or poets. And you walk in, you're like, this is the Haunted Mansion library scene that, adapted to Ireland, 100%.
Oh, and then when you factor in the good Irish whiskey you can get there.
Sure.
There
exactly.
we go.
Love this place. Yeah, it was. I walked in and I'm like, this is somebody here clearly loves Disney theme parks. Yeah. Well, and what's not to love in this month of November?
But that's the interesting thing. So Disney reaches out to the guy, to the Irish Pub Company, which, by the way, Len, prior to 9 Fine Irishmen, they had opened 400 Irish-themed pubs around the planet. So, wow. I mean, these guys had all sorts of experience for this world. And so when Disney reaches out in 2004, they're like, oh, absolutely, yes, let us, where do you want this to go? So they travel to Orlando, and they walk around the Jazz Company in this corner of Pleasure Island, and it's like, we could do something really special here. Forget about just doing a pub. How would you feel about an authentic Irish restaurant, not to mention some retail space? And again, this is the mouse, and again, I know this is no negative November, but again, Mickey never says no to selling tourists overpriced T-shirts. So,
well, plus we didn't have Irish food, right? So it was. On the other hand, Ireland is known for a lot of things, Jim: literature, music, culture, the beauty of the people. Food, not really, right? So there's a little bit of a risk there. Like I can't think of the last.
Well, it's so funny you say that. Jay Leno used to have a joke in his act to the effect of, I went to Ireland with my family. It's just the notion of, I could sit down and kidney pie. I walk out back, I go to the dumpster, here's the roast, here's the steak. It's like, what's it doing out here? I go back in, I look at the menu, it's face of leprechaun. It's like,
All right, fair.
Okay. Anyway, so this is how Raglan Road Irish Pub and Restaurant is born. Now, mind you, it does take some time to transform this space. Pleasure Island Jazz Club closes January 5th, 2005. And then, Len, they gut the place. They strip it back to the steel beams that had actually been put in place back in '88, back when this was Merriweather's Market, the food court for Pleasure Island. They then, again, all of that experience of building those 400 other pubs, they bring in all sorts of custom furnishings, light fixtures, wall coverings, all of these built in Ireland by authentic craftsmen. And then to make sure that Raglan Road Irish Pub and Restaurant is as close to the real thing as possible, the Irish Pub Company goes out and actually buys 4 really for real antique bars, Len. I mean, each one of these things is over 130 years old, and sets them up inside of the restaurant, with the notion of, It's a gathering spot. It's a focal point inside of this massive space. And by the way, took my dad to Raglan Road once, and Frank Hill fancied himself an Irishman. In fact, as he got older, really leaned into this, had his Irish walking cap and his cable knit sweaters. And my mom and he actually made trips to the old sod. In fact, even today in the guest bedroom at the Hill House is a picture of my mother upside down kissing the Blarney Stone. She was game in her 70s. All right,
you know what? Yeah, you know what? Do it. That's Fonz credit. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
But anyway, so imagine my father's disappointment when 23andMe comes along, and my dad learns to his horror that the Hills aren't Irish, were actually Scottish, and and it just. In his 80s, my dad was like, "I'm not eating haggis. You can't make me."
Yeah, no. Yeah, all done. So hold on. So Jim, let's think about this for a second. So the company that built Raglan Road has done 400 bars around the world, Irish bars around the world, and they're putting in authentic Irish bars in those. So that means if we go to actual Ireland today, is every bar built by IKEA? Because they've all been exported? Like, is that?
There is perhaps an interesting question asked there. In fact, we should make a field trip, because the interesting thing is I just read that 9 Fine Irishmen at the New York recently got redone, updated. And so, maybe this is where the new IKEA aesthetic, is being celebrated, Len.
I'm going in January. I'll report back. All right.
Okay, cool. But anyway, when my dad was in Raglan Road, and my dad was also a woodworker, so he was walking up to these things, and it's like, oh my God, this is mahogany, and that's walnut, and the staff was so charmed by him, they wouldn't leave his glass of Murphy's Dry Stout empty, which made it kind of hard to get Dad loaded in the car and back to the yacht club.
You poured him in the back seat.
I'll
drive, Dad. I'll drive.
There we go. But
that's some hospitality right there. That's
they're lovely there. They are absolutely lovely. But anyway, they get this thing transformed from the Pleasure Island Jazz Company to Raglan Road Irish pub and restaurant. 10 months, Len, and it's a 25,000 square foot facility. 600 people can dine inside. There's the 2 outdoor patios where when you factor that in, I want to say they've got a capacity of 950.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, if you go around the corner from the entrance of the restaurant, you have Cooks of Dublin, which is, one of my favorite spots. You go and get some great fish and chips. And again, we talked about the retail location, and you can get logo material for Raglan Road and also Irish design clothes. But, and you've seen the bronze out in front of the building, right?
Yep.
Okay. That is Irish.
And, I was going to say, nobody knows who it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's Irish poet Patrick Kavanagh, who is beloved by the Raglan Road folks, because he's the one who immortalized the real Raglan Road, which is an actual
pub in Dublin.
That's right.
I visited it. Yeah.
Did you really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was staying in sort of the north end of Dublin, but one day I did a trip directly south and did the south. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
Was it reminiscent at all? Was there anything you recognized from the Orlando one?
No.
Or?
Not really, but I mean, the fact that they use the name is good. It's like like the fact that in Quebec there is a hotel with a restaurant at the bottom named Le Cellier. I mean, same, sort of homage that way.
There we go. Well, anyway, Kavanagh wrote a love poem called "The Dawning of the Day," which pays tribute to the original Raglan Road. So to the folks in Orlando, that's why they put him out front. This is the guy who made it. People will know forever about Raglan Road. But anyway, Okay, so Raglan Road Irish Pub and Restaurant opens October of 2005. An immediate hit, Len. Turbocharges.
Day one.
Yeah.
From day one. Do you remember how hard it was to get in here?
Oh, God, yeah. You know, in fact, that's why I'm very, very familiar with the patios. You know, it's like,
exactly. I'm very familiar with the takeout window.
No, that's it exactly. It's kind of like, you know, the tiki bar at the Poly. You know, Len, I am like 10 times now skunked from actually getting inside. You know, it used to be like Cinderella's royal table to get an actual table. But from day one, it was, I looked before we recorded the show, and even to this day, like Raglan Road's all-time reader satisfaction number, with, you know, the unofficial guide and touring plans is like 92%. And it has never been anything other than above average from day one. No.
And it really tells you, like, I think as soon as this thing opened, Disney was like, oh, okay. now we know what to do. Right?
Well, no, that's it exactly. The notion of, if you think about this, is in the latter days of PI, and, you know, which is looking kind of tired and sad. And here is this thing that, you know, is doing turnaway business. And it's like is this the template? Is this what we need to do? And which brings us to Hyperion Wharf, which we will discuss further in a moment. But first, this
episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
All right, Lynn, we're back. And again, I know this is no negative November, but we now need to talk about Pleasure Island's end, which when it came was sudden. I mean, remember how we learned just in July of 2008 that all of the nightclubs, all 6 of them at Pleasure Island, were going to close in just 2 months' time.
Yeah, we did not get a lot of warning there. Yeah.
No. And now, mind you, restaurants and the stores stayed open. But again, clubs down on September 27th, 2008. And as Len will tell you, what's significant about that date is what? The Disney fiscal year ends on September 30th, right? So,
right. September 30th, yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't picked out of, thin air.
I mean, it also needs to be said, like, at this point in 2008, we're middle of 2008, we're in the financial crisis.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
So we've got 2 things, right? We've got diminishing returns from Pleasure Island, Disney knowing that they've got to do something, and the impetus of this external event. Yeah, doing all of this. Okay, fair.
No, it was. You're not wrong. These outside events, coupled with the fact that we needed to do something to fix Pleasure Island, boom, closed September 2008, and for a time, again, because of the Great Recession, Disney kind of battens down the hatches. I mean, we don't get anything new at all in downtown Disney. Well, we get Paradiso 37 that opens June of the following year, 2009.
Yeah. Still there.
Yeah, it is, but it's not until November of 2010 that Disney now issues a press release and announcing a completely reimagined Pleasure Island called Hyperion Wharf that, let's be honest here, Len, we got because Raglan Road, plowed the road, so to speak. Now, the idea here was that this was going to bring a brand new theme to this side of downtown Disney. Pleasure Island was now going to be reimagined as an early 20th century port city with the notion of, some new shops, some new restaurants. But specifically, Len, this was going to be the early days of electricity. And did you ever see the episode of The Gilded Age where, they literally had, the elite of New York show up to watch, this area that suddenly they turned on the electricity and it's like, oh, look at these amazing little light bulbs and all that. That was the idea, that you were going to be in this port city just as they had started electrifying it. So every night there was going to be this, elaborate pageant outside where suddenly, we went from dark to light.
I wonder if that explains the theming of the Edison.
Could well.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
But let's be honest, Lynn. At this point, Pleasure Island fans would take anything. I mean, when you walked through the island, then it was sad. I mean, you'd walk up to the Adventures Club, and there were planters in front of the door, and you could look in, and it's like the props are still in there. They're covered with dust, but it's like, I want to go in there.
Yeah. All of the doors were locked. Ask me how I know. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you walked down the stairs around to the back, didn't you? All right, anyway. Okay.
Planters are not the barrier everyone thinks they are. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Weird little bend on this story. Now, again, remember, this is Jay Rizzullo, who set the Hyperion Wharf project in motion in 2009. But then in November of that same year, Len, 2009, it's announced that Jay Rizzullo and Tom Staggs, who Staggs was the company CFO at the time, are switching jobs. And what's charming about this, Len, is this is back when Bob Iger was considering both of these men as his possible successor. It's the CEO of the Disney company. And again, this was when Bob was going to leave Disney in 2013. And you can remember, Len, he didn't actually go out the door till 2020. And even then, that was like, oh, pandemic. Time to pack my bag. And then, then he actually comes back in November of 2022 when the gentleman he did pick for the job, Bob Chapek, was ousted.
So Staggs is head of parks.
Yes,
in 2010. Okay.
Yeah, he transitions to the job in 2010, and for a time he behaves like a CFO. I mean, it's like I don't want to rock the boat. We've already committed this money to, the Hyperion Wharf project, but as Tom is looking at, the numbers that Downtown Disney is doing, and realizes, geez, it's not just Pleasure Island that needs fixing. It's this entire retail dining complex. So, why not, again, we're using Raglan Road as an excuse to redo one corner of Downtown Disney. Well, why don't we use this Irish pub and restaurant and the success it's having as an excuse to make over the entire complex? Well, this brings us to March of 2013, where Walt Disney World Resort announces the multi-year transformation of Downtown Disney. This is when they walk out the concept of Disney Springs with all of its distinct neighborhoods, and that's ultimately how we wound up with the complex we have today: 150 stores, restaurants, and by the way, just celebrated its 10th anniversary this past month on October 3rd. Now, mind you, that's some interesting bookkeeping because construction continued through 2016, and actually the last piece of the puzzle, the NBA experience, wouldn't open till 2019, and
closed 2019 and 20 minutes later. But it went on to better things. That's fine. We're getting level 99. So
now speaking of which, I wanted to ask you about that. Now I understand that construction walls are up and signage is up, but this was originally announced as late 2025, early 2026. I'm thinking 2026 is more likely at this point. Yes, no?
Yeah, definitely. They're hiring management now. So if you look at the job posting board, they're hiring the people who will hire the other people.
Okay.
For that. Yeah. So I think early 2026. I'm expecting a preview. Like, I think it's going to be early in 2026. Definitely by spring, it'll be open.
Okay.
All right. So Jim, just to go back here. So just to get the timeline right, in 2008, it was announced that Pleasure Island was closing. November of 2010, they say, okay, we're going with Hyperion Wharf, and then 2 years later, it's like, no, never mind Hyperion Wharf. We're doing doing Disney Springs.
Yeah, and the way it was explained to me is, the notion of, okay, we start work on this thing, and once again, we're going to disrupt the center of our nighttime entertainment complex. And, and it was just a notion of, look, if we're going to do this, let's do it. I don't want to come back here in 3 years and spend money again. That was the thing. Staggs was very upfront about this. Staggs was the one who kept talking about, I don't want to make the same mistake we made with California Adventure. I don't want to keep coming back here and spending money. Let's do it right one time. And this was the thing. It's like, no to Hyperion Wharf, yes to Disney Springs.
Well, the thing that I want to link this to, because I love Staggs' decision here, and I think it was absolutely the right one. But remember, during this time, when he is head of Disney Parks and Resorts, he also changes the direction of New Fantasyland.
He does.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was, I think we all agree that what we got in New Fantasyland was better than the original concept. So here's Tom Staggs twice saying, no, we need to change direction and do it this way. And he's right both times. How about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of us who kind of wish that Bob Iger had, gone a different way with the CEO he selected. But, and ironically enough, both Rizzullo and Staggs walked away from the company because Bob cooled to both of them. So.
Yeah, okay. We have to figure out what. I'm gonna go look and see what Tom Staggs is doing these days, just to see what he's up to.
Okay.
Fantastic. All right, Jim, that was a great story. I did not know that Nine Fine Irishmen. I forgot that they were the ones about Raglan Road, but I love the fact that they're clearly Disney theme park fans. Just if you go to that Nine Fine Irishman bar, you're like, this is the Haunted Mansion, 100%. Yeah.
Well, again, seriously, when you're in town in January, swing by there again and see what they've done to update it, how they've refreshed it.
Fantastic. I will. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. You can help support our show by subscribing over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, where we're posting exclusive shows every week. Our latest show is on Disney's corporate lounges, and there's a link in the show notes. Also, there's a link in the show notes to Jim Schul's Disney Journey channel on YouTube. You can find more of Jim at JimHillMedia.com and more of me, Len, at TouringPlans.com. We're produced spectacularly by Eric Hersey and David Gray, practicing their meat smoking and cattle rustling skills for the 17th Annual Blues, Bandits, and Barbecue Festival on Saturday, November 8th, 2025 at Kidd Springs Park. That's in the North Oak Cliff neighborhood in beautiful downtown Dallas, Texas. While Eric and David are doing that, please go onto iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We will see you on the next show.